Today we're going to spend some time learning about fractions. We're going to be identifying the fraction on a number line, and we're going to create a number line to show a fraction. Let's take a look at our first job. The question asks us to identify the fractions on this number line. I'm going to start by thinking a little bit about what I know about a fraction. I know that a fraction is an equal part of a whole, which means this number line has been divided into equal parts. I'm going to take a minute to analyze this number line to determine how many equal parts I see. Let me get a tool to help me count. So I'm going to use my highlighter and I'm going to highlight the equal parts. I see one equal part, it's represented here. I see two equal parts. I see three, and I see four. This number line has been divided into four equal parts. I'm going to go ahead and number them. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. So the denominator for these fractions will be 4 because this number line is showing fourths. Now if I have to identify all the fractions on this number line, I'm going to start here at this point. I would number this as 0 out of the 4 parts because at this point on the number line, I have not created any parts, any of the equal parts yet. This point here, I would identify as 1/4. I am 1/4 of the way across this number line, 1/4. This point here I would identify as 2/4. Remember, the numerator is your counting number and your denominator is how many parts there are in all. So you can see that the fourths stay the same because this number line is divided into 4 parts. This point here I can identify as 3/4. 3 out of the 4 parts that make the whole. Let me double check if that's right. 1, 2, 3. Yes, at this point I am 3/4 of the way across this number line. This point here made the whole number line, so it is 4/4. Another way of saying 4/4, boys and girls, is 1. It is at this point where I have made the whole number line. Let's take a look at another one. Again, my job is to identify the fractions on this number line. And I see that this number line has been divided into equal parts. There are more to this number line than the last one. So I see more equal parts. The parts are smaller, but there are more of them. So I'm going to get my marking tool again. I don't want to rely just on my eyes for the count. I want to mark and count as I go. So this is 1, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts, and 6 parts. So I could number this, go ahead and number above it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 equal parts here. That means each one of these points is 1/6. All right, so let me go ahead and start here again. Remember, we have not made any of the equal parts at this point on the number line. We haven't moved at all. We are 0/6 of the way across. All right, this point here is 1/6. Let's keep going, just counting across. This is 2/6. Numerator, denominator. Notice my denominator stays the same. At this point, I am 3/6 of the way across this number line. I want to stop for a minute here and just double check my thinking. 1, 2, 3. Now, how many more parts do I have to go on this number line? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make an observation about this point on the number line. There is another way to say this point. I could also say I am halfway across the number line. 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. They're the same. Let me continue. Here is 4/6. This point represents 5 out of the 6 parts. And this point here is 6 out of the 6 parts. 6/6 equals 1 whole. Let's take a look at one more example. This one is a little bit trickier. Again, we're going to identify the fractions on this number line. Let me take a moment just to analyze carefully and notice something about this one, how this one is different than the other one. This one is different because I'm noticing this number here. I see a number 1 here. That means that I am going to be dealing with a mixed number here. That means from the 0 to this point, I have made one number line. And then from here to here is a second one. So I'm going to take care to number it. Let me see how many parts I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've made the whole. We continue again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've made another whole. I could really go ahead and number this one with the whole number of 2. All right, so this is from here to here. I need to identify these fractions. So we said this was 1, 2, 3, 4. So this number line is made up of 4 equal parts. And then we see another one added to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me go back. So this is 0/4. And here I have 1/4. This line represents 2/4. This line represents 3/4. And I've made my whole. I've made 4/4. Okay, so now we're going to have another number line that has been added to this one. So this point is, again, 1/4. It is 1 and 1/4 of the way. This is 2/4. 1 and 2/4. This is 3/4. 1 and 3/4. And this is 4/4. 1 and 4/4. In other words, this is a whole. This is a whole. So that's why this point represents 2.